Welcome to the Jameson Files. I'm your host, Carrie Weber, and it is so wonderful to be back with all of you for another season of the Jameson Files, kicking off with this episode. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in and listen and watch wherever you are listening to podcasts or watching podcasts, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, or even the Grow online learning platform right here at Jameson. We're so happy that you're here, and I want to personally thank you for giving me your time today and into the future for future episodes. We're looking forward to an incredible season of content and are looking forward to sharing that with you and connecting with you through the Jameson Files. Speaking of the future of the content, if you are going to ADA SmileCon this year, October 13th through 15th in Houston, Texas, the Jameson Files will be there on Podcast Row. So please, if you're coming, let us know or come and find us and say hello. I'd love to meet you in person and get your ideas and feedback on what you'd like to see or hear in the podcast in the future. So again, looking forward to being with all of you that will be joining in at SmileCon with the ADA in Houston this year. We'll be there and we're looking forward to it. So today it is September 2022. We have just wrapped up another summer. And so what we want to talk about today are what are the trends that were consuming your minds and your time this summer in your dental practices. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to focus on one very specific trend that was consuming most of the practices that we have been speaking with and working with and helping all summer long, and that's team hiring, right? So many of you out there continue to be searching for team to fill the different roles in your practices that you're needing and struggling to find those superstars to step into those positions. And that has not only been a frustrating part of your summer in terms of where are our next rockstar team members, but also the struggle with capacity in your practices, the maximization of a minimal team, and how we can continue to move forward, to make progress, to be efficient, to run smoothly, to grow, even in the midst of this season that we continue to find ourselves in terms of finding the right team for your practice. So what I want to talk about today is that trend and some areas that you can take a look at in your efforts. How can we do this better? How can we be more successful in our efforts and try to gain more attention for those positions that you're seeking to fill, while at the same time, how can we continue to build a healthy work environment, as our founder, Kathy Jameson, would say? How do we create that? How do we keep our team engaged, motivated, and doing the good, hard work? What the risk is as we continue to be understaffed is that our team starts to burn out, or they start to have trouble seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So we as leaders have to continue to encourage them to make work as efficient and smooth running as possible, and to continue to refine as we search for the right people to bring onto team. So at the beginning, let's talk about this. Let's talk about hiring. How the state of the industry is that we have lost a great deal of our hygienists out of the workforce, and studies have been showing that 8 to 9% is what I'm seeing of the hygienists have left the workforce altogether, leaving us in a great deal of struggle in finding our hygienists for our practices. But you're also struggling to find great business team, great assistants. Really, even if you're looking to find an associate to bring into the practice, that has been a struggle for several of you as well. So what can we do differently to help us get a better result? Well, my first word is a word of encouragement. Don't give up. Don't give up, to be persistent and to persist in the midst of that obstacle. You need to find the right person. If we start to compromise what excellence looks like in our team members and just hiring the first person that's a warm body, you're ultimately sacrificing your vision for the sake of filling that seat on the bus. And what I want you to continue to do is seek out the right people. and take a look at what we can be doing differently in the job search, in the position search, to perhaps get us a better result. Remember, the issue is nationwide. And so what one person is sending out, more than likely there are 5, 6, 7 other practices in your community that are also searching for that role. So it's definitely the employee's market at this point in terms of where they choose to land and call their new work home. So remember, if you get frustrated and you say, oh, we had all these applications and then none of them were showing up for their interviews, well, the fact of the matter is they probably took another job already. So we need to be very intentional in what we're putting out into the world in terms of the messaging of the job posts. We need to be very focused and intentional on the process of our interviewing, and we need to be very intentional of our presence online. So number one, the content of the ads. I want all of you, if you're having trouble getting any great candidates to submit applications for your position, take a look at your ad. If I looked at your ad right now on Indeed or Facebook or wherever you're posting it right now, does it look exactly like an ad for that position in 27 other practices? If the answer is yes, why would I ever differentiate you as the place I want to work from anybody else? Remember, your purpose, your vision, that's the DNA of your practice. So take a look at the content you're posting and refine, refine, refine. Just like we want to in external marketing, we want to create content that is specifically focused to you and your practice and what the patient can expect in their experience with you. That's the same way we need to be focused in the content of your ads. So refine the ad, rewrite it from the perspective of that future employee. What is it about your practice that they can expect? What are they stepping into? What is it that makes you special? What is it that you ultimately want in terms of the characteristics of that person? Because if we start to put our practice values into the message, if the values are the same for that person, that will attract them to your job post. So refine the message. Make sure that your online presence is up to speed and that it looks good and that you're representing your ideal vision for your practice in your marketing presence. So just like your potential patients are looking at your online presence to decide if they want to be patients of record in your practice, well, guess what? So are your potential employee candidates. They're looking at your website, they're looking at your reviews, they're looking at your social media presence, and if it's lackluster, why again would I want to come and work for a practice that seems less than what my values are in my professional career? So make sure your external presence represents the ideal vision of your practice, both for your patients and for your team. And also, if you're not using your own social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so on, to post your job opportunities that you have within your practice, what are you waiting for? What are you afraid of? You want to wait another 12 months till a candidate comes through your door miraculously? Be intentional and proactive. And if your team is willing, have them share and spread the word. We want some people that are going to be just as emotionally invested in your practice as you all are, joining your team. So do your own due diligence and get the word out in those places if you haven't done so already. We often depend upon things like Indeed to bring us our magical candidate. And when that doesn't work, you're going to have to start doing a few things on your own to help increase the probability of finding that rock star employee. So refine what you're doing. What are you doing well, and how can we improve it? How can we improve our online presence, and where have we yet to share that we're looking for a new member of our team in appropriate places that your community could find? Finally, I want to talk about the process of interviewing. Now remember, if I am a potential candidate interviewing for your practice, chances are I'm interviewing for 3 others. So how are you representing your practice in the interview process? Just like we want to have an exceptional new patient experience, if you have an expectation of a team member's performance or what you want a person's experience to be in your workforce, then that needs to be reflected in the interview process. How professional are you representing your company, your practice, your business in that process, from the first telephone call with a candidate to how you're scheduling time to interview them, to how you're taking them through an application process, and how you are leading them through that experience. You are building a perception of value from the very beginning, just like with a new patient. So we want to move things as quickly as possible, but we also want to make sure we have everything we need to make the right decision in hiring. So make sure you're asking the right questions and think about this long before a person walks in the door. What are the things that you want to make sure you learn about them or you hear from them when they're with you face to face? What are you looking for? So make your interview process and your hiring process efficient and effective. Ask the right questions and represent your practice in the right way, because you are setting expectations of professionalism and behavior of a future employee from their very first interaction with you. So start things off on the right foot. And let me tell you, if you are looking for superstars, they are determining with every experience they have with you whether there's a place for them to grow and develop in those interactions. So step it up and refine that process and deliver excellence just like you would for a patient. We need to do that for our potential future team members. So once we talk about hiring, you're going to be going through this. This isn't going to be something that happens tomorrow or overnight. So what do we do in the meantime, right? So let's talk about in the meantime of working to create a desirable work home. We're going to have to do cross-training, and we're going to have consistent communication, refining the skills and the processes that our team are doing every day, because more than likely we're carrying an extra load, right? We're all rolling up our sleeves and diving in and helping to deliver excellence even when we're short a team member or two. So we need to be continuously meeting, training, developing as a team, and troubleshooting where we may be struggling with the dental day in this current situation. Let me tell you, cross-training your team is never a bad idea. It's always a good idea, because we want everyone on the team to understand the different systems, the different roles, the different responsibilities, so that we not only understand where our role fits in those processes, but should a day come when someone is sick, or if someone leaves, or you're short-staffed and you need help, everyone can help pick up that slack and do it comfortably and do it well. So if you're not having team meetings to train through your processes and continuously develop there, I encourage you to do so. And in those meetings, you need to report on the state of the hiring process to let them know where things are, that you as leaders are indeed continuing to search for that new person to come into the team, and to give them that encouragement that while this is a season, this is not for a forever season. And it may be taking longer than expected, but the presence and the communication of leadership can help a team continue to rally and fill in the voids that missing person has left, and we can continue on together with as less stress as possible. That's what we're working for, right? We want to be working efficiently, effectively, in a fulfilled way with as little stress as possible. So make sure you're having those team meetings. Don't do away with those because we're overwhelmed. You need them more now than ever to communicate to each other, to troubleshoot and identify the needs that you have and how we can do things better in this interim time while we search for that new person. So making sure that we are cross-training and communicating. And remember, in order to create a truly healthy work environment, you may have the opportunity here to look at ways that moving forward into the future, hey, maybe this is an opportunity to do things differently, to do things better. Remember, at Jameson, the model of success is this: see fewer patients in a day, do more dentistry per patient when and where it's appropriate, see those patients for fewer appointments. Remember, time is a big motivator or demotivator for patients to come to see their dentist. So making sure that we can see them for fewer appointments when and where possible. Maximizing a minimal team. We want you to maximize a minimal team. I'm not saying go fire people, but what I am saying is there may be an opportunity here to refine and further clarify roles and responsibilities in your practice to make sure that we only have the amount of team members that we ultimately need, so that when we become more productive and more profitable, we can then share in the reward of that work well done across the team members, which is the next step of a model of success. And then we want to be continuously doing what we can in our systems and our processes to reduce stress. So where in those steps of the model of success could you refine your efforts now to be able to more effectively support your patients and your team should you be short-staffed and be in the hiring process now? And are we hiring for the right roles that we ultimately need in the practice? That's where the clarification of roles and responsibilities become very important. So we've talked about how to refine the hiring and the search for those rock star candidates. What do we do in the interim in terms of cross-training and effectively communicating and consistently communicating to the team to keep everyone encouraged and motivated to keep going? Now I want to talk about capacity. What we find is happening in this time when we're short-staffed, especially clinically short-staffed, is that you're finding yourself booking further and further and further out, and that's starting to become a stress. So I want you to think about what Stephen Covey has written about many years ago, and that we need to be continuously sharpening the saw. What can happen in this state is we can, as leaders, allow ourselves to go into victim mode and go into the excuses of the why. Well, it's because of this. It's because we don't have enough team. It's because we're so booked out and we don't know where to put them. You know, what we can't control is the length and the pace it's taking for us to find that new team member, right? We know what we can do and we know the things we can do better. And that also has to be reflective in the way you execute the day-to-day now. So I want you to sharpen the saw. What's the vision? What's the vision of the practice? How close are we to your ideal practice vision right now? Are we pretty close? Are we living the dream? Or are you very far from what ideal looks like? And could this be an opportunity for you to set course in the right direction and start to refine your systems and your approach to your patient care to be more reflective of what ideal is for you? What is the vision? And does the entire team know this? Especially if you've hired new team members, do they know what your vision is, what their role is in the processes to achieve that vision, and are they on board for that? And are we training them to be successful in their role of that pursuit of that vision and the purpose for your practice? Are you honoring effective scheduling? What we find happens is we start to lose control of the schedule. We start to plug people in whenever possible. And the next thing you know, you go 3 or 4 months down the line and you are churning like crazy. And you're going to the end of a day completely exhausted because there's no rhyme or reason or intention behind your scheduling processes. Do not let go of the essentials of scheduling. If you don't remember what the essentials of scheduling are, especially our Jameson clients, I encourage you to go onto the Grow Online Learning platform by Jameson and go through our Essentials of Scheduling learning pathway and refresh your memory so that you can see what are we continuing to honor in the scheduling system and what have we allowed to fall through the cracks. Remember, it's okay for a system to be able to flex. We want to be able to flex within a system. But when you allow flexing to become the norm, you no longer have a system. And when we get in times where we're feeling a lot of pressure, we're understaffed, whatever the case may be, we start to flex more than we honor a system. And it may be what some of you are experiencing right now, and it may be the pain point that you're feeling the most. So make sure that you're getting back on track and going back to the basics on the essentials of scheduling. Maybe it's time to audit the insurance plans you're in network with. This could be a great opportunity for you to review the plans that you are in network with and determine what are we a part of at this point? How much are we working for no return? What would this be like if we removed 1 or 2 plans out of our practice and we went out of network on those? Would this help us? If you have more patients coming in than you have the capacity to even take care of, what are you doing? What purpose are you serving yourself, your patients, and your practice? It goes back to vision. Are you bringing in the right types of patients into your practice that you ultimately want to be caring for, that ultimately wants the kind of treatment that you provide? And if we do not have that in place, this could be a great time to reset what we are doing and what we're in network with and how our patient flow comes to us. Perhaps it's time to look more into external marketing and stop using insurance plans as a marketing solution. If you ask me, it's a pretty expensive marketing solution. So think about this. Audit your insurance plans and decide, is it time to make a change for the better for the patients and for your practice flow and growth? And with that, I want you to think about auditing your new patient flow. How many new patients are you getting per month, and where are they coming from? What we want to be asking when new patients are calling in is how they heard about you. Where are they coming from, so that we can determine what are your primary new patient channels. And if the large majority are not coming by way of referrals, then there's a great opportunity to have higher qualified patients for you that are going to see the value and have trust in the relationship with you much earlier on if they're coming to you by referral. If they're coming to you by an insurance plan, they have no relationship with you. You're on a list, and you and your team have a great deal of work ahead of you to build trust, need, urgency, and value in your relationship with them. So it could be that we need to change the tide, and we need to bring in more by referral, more by external resources of your own marketing efforts, so that the right types of patients are coming through your door. Because if we are going to be a maximized minimal team, we want to make sure that we are doing good work and delivering excellence for every single patient every single time. And if we continue to be over capacity, it becomes very difficult to provide that level of care. So these are some of the things that we have been working on and working through with Jameson clients. You may still need to find a great new team member, but in the meantime, we must continue to honor excellence in patient care, deliver excellence in our systems, and look at where we need to sharpen the saw. Now more than ever, we have to go back to the basics and deliver great foundational patient care and a tremendous patient experience, not just for the patients, but for you and your team. So gather as a team, have a team meeting, review what's working well, review where you're struggling, how can we do those things differently, and how can we refine our search for our new team member. These are the things that we can keep doing and continue to be encouraged as we go through this, because that right person is out there and you're going to find them. It's just a matter of taking the time and being more intentional and more proactive in the things that we're doing right now to help set them up to be successful with you in the future. So I hope I see you at SmileCon in October. I'm looking forward to being at the ADA meeting, and I hope that you'll be there too. We'll see you on Podcast Row. And in the meantime, think about Serena Williams. Over 20 years of excellence in her career in tennis, coming to a close possibly as we speak, as she finishes out the US Open. But I want you to think about your practice and the decades upon decades of work that you've done. Serena Williams wasn't able to be competitive for 25 years in tennis because she just sort of showed up, because she did a few things every once in a while. She consistently put in the work. She consistently and continuously sharpened the saw so that she delivered excellence every time she steps on the court. Well, your practice is your court. And so what are you doing today to deliver excellence so that when you come to the end, you can say, work well done, and that it was all worth it. We want you to be as productive, as profitable, and ultimately as fulfilled in your practicing life as you can be. Don't let the seasons deter you from your ideal vision of excellence. Continue on the path, continue to do the good work, and the right team that also want to deliver that kind of good work, they're going to find you. And we'll look forward to celebrating those new team members with you when they come. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Jameson Files. Visit us online at jmsn.com. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, or Spotify. See you next time.